connect to the cloud. All right. All right, Rosie, please proceed. Sorry for the interruption.
No problem. So I added a site logo, and once I did that, it bumped my menu down under. I have auto ads, Google auto ads enabled on my site, and before I added the site logo, when I just had the name of my site, which is Toronto Scoop, like just in text, it was the text and then the menu bar, and it was all together. But then once I added the site logo, it bumped my menu bar down under the big, huge banner ad. And I don't know how to fix it, or even if I can fix it. And I'm wondering if I should just disable that banner ad, because now I have all this white space around the site logo, and it just takes a while before you get to the actual content.
Well, Rosie, could you post the address of your site in the chat so we can have a look?
Yeah, I just did. It's torontoscoop.ca.
And perhaps, Rosie, if you were to go to your site main admin page and then go to the editor to display the page in question, that'll answer a question as to what type of theme, whether it's classic or block, and therefore where to look for the layout effect of the change.
So I should go to,
so just log in normally as a main person. Select the page with the site logo, which is presumably a template, right?
Yep.
Open the template up so that we can look at that.
Okay.
And then we'll see, and you can show us, if you can, if the logo is there, remove it and put it back, or if it hasn't made the change in the current version, make the changes just so we can see the result.
So I think I see this. So you've got the logo at the top, and they've got a menu bar underneath that.
Yeah. I don't know how to so I've got it, but how do I show you? Is there a way for, I'm not, should I just screenshot it and paste?
Well, you can actually share your screen if you want to.
When you have the page displayed on your machine in the editor, right, then you click the green button in the Zoom window that's right in the bottom row where it says share screen.
Okay.
The bottom row of the Zoom window.
Okay, I see format, add emoji, file, screen.
No, you're not looking in the right place. Are you looking at the Zoom window? The thing with my image in it right now?
Yeah, okay. Share screen. Okay, so
big green button.
Okay, share.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep, that's working.
Okay, great.
Okay. All right, so this is the this is the editor page. Okay, now what did you want it to look like?
Okay, so what I wanted it to look like was it was like I didn't want the logo to be on top of the menu. I wanted it to be like
part of the banner.
Exactly. So there wasn't all this like empty white space around. And it seems the only way I could do that is if I took everything out of my menu bar. But then even then it wasn't working. So I'm just wondering if if I've done something wrong with the logo, or if there's, I don't know.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Yeah.
Is your logo what format is the image file for starters? Is it like a PNG, do you know?
I think so, but I have to admit, I can't quite remember. I'm not sure.
I'm just thinking if it's a PNG, then you could have you could fill that whole white space with color and then put your logo on that, if you want the color to come through around that square logo, or whether you want the logo to still be white, even with a colored background. A PNG would allow you to do that. A JPEG will not.
Okay, guys, sorry to sort of hold up the process, but I'm not yet tracking what we're doing here. In that, is the logo that you're referring to the one that says Toronto Scoop and is centered at the top?
Exactly.
Okay. Right. So, and I'm just now looking at your editor page. And is that in a, that's in a block, but is that block in some container? Like
It's in the header and footer.
a row or a column or whatever?
Yeah, it's yeah, I guess it's the header. It's in the
Okay,
header.
there we are. And is the Google ad that you're referring to, or the ad space?
So the ad space, it seems to, here I can show you, I'll load it up and you can see it. So when I load it, see this before the logo was to the left in the menu bar, and I didn't have all like, and I just have all this like white space now. So I'm wondering if I should.
Okay, wait a second though. So what you want to do, let's start with your goal. So here's your goal to move the logo from where it is now, in effect, to the left of the menu row, right?
Yes.
And thereby push the menu start position to the right, right? Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, I wanted.
Okay, and
yeah.
The scoop image is what, twice as tall as the menu bar. So would you want the menu bar at the bottom of the the row beside the logo, or centered, or top, or whatever?
I think centered with it.
And then you want to keep the Google ad as the first thing that appears in the page.
I think so. And then at least you are seeing my content. Like right now, my content's so far down. It's not as bad on mobile, but the content, you don't even see any of the content until it's like all the way at the bottom.
Interesting. Well, I'm refreshing your page
Uh-huh.
in my browser, and I'm not seeing the content. So rather the Google ad. In any event, let's go back to
it's sort of funny, Robin, because everybody gets served different Google ads. So I obviously thinks I have less money than Rosie, because Rosie gets an ad for a 5-star hotel.
I think that's just because I've been writing about hotels.
Yeah. Oh, I got an ad for cooking classes. So Google obviously thinks I need to learn to cook, which is probably right.
That's really funny.
Google knows me better than anybody, I guess. And Robin sees nothing at all, which is, well, everybody gets a different story there.
I love it.
Okay, so let's see what we can do for Rosie.
And then I was wondering if, maybe did I not start off with the right template, but I didn't think when I for the longest time, I didn't have a site logo. I just had text that said Toronto Scoop. And then I was so excited. I'm like, oh, I have a logo. And now I'm like, oh, but it doesn't look right anymore.
Now, what happens if the menu, by being pushed to the right, ends up not having enough room to display it in a single row? Do you want it then to stack at some point?
Well, I don't know. I guess like right now in mobile, it's not an issue because it's just becomes the hamburger stack, but I don't really know on the browser. Like, I don't know if it could wrap, or I could take a few out and make it shorter. I don't know, like if there's something you would even recommend. I just feel
as it stands now, I think it's easier if it's all in one row. That's sort of the typical thing you do with a menu. But if the result of doing that is to make the labels unintelligible, or at least not easily identified as to what information they represent, well, then you don't want to defeat the purpose of the menu by fitting it in there. But in my view, because of the width of the browser, the tab, I see the menu stack, which is fine in the sense that it works just without a problem. It just looks different, and it's not 2 rows centered, or at least, by wrapping, it's like one long sentence that has a breakpoint and then starts again in the left margin to finish. But in any event, let's go back to your block editor, and can you click? Yeah. So we can identify what row. If you look in the top left corner, and you see the list icon, that one, yeah.
Okay.
So click on that, and
Okay.
then that'll tell us what we're in. So the menu is in the row there that's been identified, right? You
think-
can see where it says navigation, and then you go up a couple and you see row.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that's the overall row, and then we have click on stack. Okay, so that's how is it that your logo is in the stack block?
I don't know.
Well, that's one sort of issue, I suppose. Um,
I don't know. Yeah.
click on navigation again.
Huh?
Okay, so I thought if we just move navigation into its own row, then a 2-column row, then push it a little to the right, that would create the space to move the site logo into the first column of the new row. Does anybody have a better idea or a different way of thinking about it?
Well, I sure don't. I'm an idiot with this software, so.
Robin.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this and I'm wondering why you don't just add an extra item to the menu and then add an image into the menu.
That's
So
what that's certainly a possibility. But you do want the image to occupy what might turn out to be a double row menu, right? So in other words, the logo item is twice as tall as the text required to display the labels of the menu. But we could try, I mean, that's not that hard to simply click the plus button in the navigation block, right? Now, I guess the first thing is, Rosie, do you have your site backed up?
I don't know.
Okay. Have you made a copy of this page somewhere? Probably
Why
not.
don't we make a copy of the page and
Yeah.
work with the copy?
Okay. Why don't you take her through that, Drew?
Yeah, thank you. I've not done that before.
Hmm.
Because this being a
Uh,
template, let's just get a new page made of this, because if there's a problem and we want to reverse it or at least make use of it, you just copy the block in question or the container of that block, copy that and replace whatever is in the target page, right?
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I really can't do that because an exclusively a Beaver Builder user, so I avoid everything Gutenberg.
okay, so let's actually there's another way to do this. You could take the group block right at the top there on the left where it says under right there group.
Yep.
Click that, and then click this 3 buttons in where it says duplicate. Just duplicate it.
Okay, so this here duplicate?
Yep.
Okay.
And now if something gets screwed up in the first one, just deleting it will then end up with just one of these, but it's the old version of it, right?
Okay.
So you could, now if we completely mess the page up, this doesn't solve the problem, but it's the quickest way to sort of protect yourself against a change.
Okay.
So now go back to, and from this point on, we're just going to talk about the old navigation block and section, and the second one below it is just the backup copy. Okay.
Okay.
So click on the nav bar.
Okay, in the top one, right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
now-
click in over on the other side here. Oh, you want to click the plus button
up
in
here?
the navigation over here in the pink area, which is the nav bar. It's the navigation block itself.
Okay.
I don't see it. No, over here to the right.
Over here?
Yep. You see the plus sign in the black box, black icon?
Down here?
I can't see your cursor. Where is it? Yeah, but I'd rather you be right in the middle of the screen in the navigation block itself using that inserter button.
Oh, I see. Like here?
Now it's moved over to the bottom right corner of that block, of that container block, right? Right. So click on that.
This guy here. Okay.
Yep. Yep. And let's go for site logo. And yep,
Okay.
click the site logo block. And now we want to, now why did it move, put it outside?
It came
No,
up.
it's actually, yeah, now, was it Mike that suggested that we put it in the nav menu?
Yeah,
Because this is the first step, right? We tried to add a block to the nav menu, and look where it's placed it.
And sorry to interrupt, but looking at your footer, that seems to be in better shape than your header.
Okay, Rosie, can you scroll down to the footer?
Because in your footer, I see you have your logo there, and it's off to the left-hand side. It's smaller. The footer seems to look a lot nicer than your header there. And I'm looking at just your web page there.
Oh, and that, you know what? That was just, I just got that from I just typed in navigation and that came up. So but I have to enter that one to every post. Like, I enter that manually to every post, the footer.
Yes, because you haven't made it a template part on the
No,
post template,
right.
right?
So could I do that for my header and then it would be the same on every page?
Yes, I mean, what you're looking at right now as the footer block, as the footer, right? The
Yeah.
template part called the footer. If you go over to footer in that view, yeah, the sidebar, and click on footer at the bottom.
Okay.
And you could copy that in the same way, duplicate it, and just replace the current header, or actually make it yeah, I mean, you could replace the current header with that template block. Now, I wonder if it's identified somehow as footer and therefore couldn't be used. Well, I mean, the only thing you just try is.
But this, I wouldn't want this. This is the footer in black that says copyright 2012. Like I wouldn't want that for my.
Okay, so that, I was thinking your footer, right, you're right. I was thinking of the block above that, which has the logo in it, right?
Oh, you know what? I have to look at the internet here. Okay. Like this one here, right?
Right.
Yeah. So could I have that just be can I make that be my?
You could copy the content of that footer template part and replace the header template part's contents with that just by selecting copy and then go and paste it in replacement. Right? Actually, do it on the second one, the backup copy, because we haven't really made any changes to the first one, right?
No, I haven't. Okay, so.
Or even better, let me just think now, maybe the safest thing is to go to the bottom, make your duplicate copy so that it appears above or below the current one.
So this is the duplicate copy.
No, go to the bottom to the footer. Sorry, go to the footer at the bottom.
Okay.
And the one that you want to make use of.
That would be this.
Right. We want to just find in that left sidebar list, we want to find what that particular item is. So, click to open the footer so that we can identify which block it is.
Okay.
Just to make sure we're copying the right one.
Got it. Okay. So you know what it is? It's, I'll show you. It is.
Is it on a different page than what we're looking at here?
Yeah, because it's not on my home. It's, I don't know how to show you with
Why don't you
it.
just navigate to that page from right here?
No, but I before we go, open in the list on the left, the footer template part. Yes. Open the group block. Just burst it open so that we see the list. Now you're just working your way through to find exactly which item is the one in question, the one we want to make a copy of, right? So
You know
that's
what
what we're
it
trying
is?
to do right now.
It's here. It's I made it from this. No, I think I just made it from here. or it's
Right, but the thing to bear in mind is that whatever you create with the block editor, you can select and copy and then paste that anywhere you like.
I see.
Another template, a template part,
Okay.
page or
Okay.
post, because they're just blocks, right?
I see. Okay,
There's no
so here's
special property to them when they are just components of a page.
okay. So if I were to take it from a post that I just did, so here it is down here, like
Now, wait a sec. Were we not on the homepage just a minute ago? Isn't that footer in question
yeah,
in the
that's my
homepage as
homepage.
well?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's not. Or is it?
Yeah, it's on the homepage.
It's on the homepage.
All right.
Okay.
So the
But I
reason I
don't know how
mention
to-
that is that means that
Yeah.
it's already recognized on the main template, the homepage template, as being a template part, right? This footer. So therefore, copying from one template part to another, it's just like copying any block to any other place. There's nothing special about the process.
I don't know why though. I can't find, like, I don't know why it's not here in the footer on the homepage.
Well, just keep opening the columns until you, I mean, if we're viewing it, then it can be found in this list.
Okay.
It's the pink one you want, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It used to be, until very recently, it used to be that you couldn't edit or do anything with template parts while viewing a page that made use of them, right? But that's no
Yeah.
longer the case. The block editor and the site editor are sort of, their capabilities are overlapping one another, so to speak. So that's why you can take the part that's working that you like,
Yeah.
copy just that part, the blocks meaning, and then paste them in the place where you want them to work. And as long as you've got the group block, as long as you've got the container that holds these things, as long as you've selected the right thing, then it should work without any problem.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not here. I don't. But
Well,
unless
let's
Hello?
go through each of the columns.
Sorry to
one by
interrupt you
one.
guys. Hello, sorry to interrupt. Actually, that section she is looking. That section is under home page. Edit home page. You will find that section. That is not the part of footer. That is not saved in footer. That is saved in home page.
Yeah, but we don't care about saving it. We just care about copying it, which is to say, what we're seeing is what we want to get.
Yeah.
Right.
So
You're
need
right.
to
You're right in that editing normally a template part should occur within the template part itself, which is not what we're displaying right now. We're on the home page, right?
yeah,
We're
exactly.
in the home page template.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So that means that the template part, well, actually, let's just put this aside for a moment.
Maybe it's actually not in the template, but in the page.
Well, that's what I was
text
going to
itself.
check. Is let's
You
go
need
to the
go
template editor.
pages, edit home page and copy that section and paste over header. Need to go pages in admin panel.
Wait a second. Well, let's just one person at a time. Otherwise, Rosie will be kind of confused.
Yeah. Thank you though. Thank you for everyone helping.
Let's first look at the template part and see what's in there, because Drew's just brought up the point, well, maybe it's not, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So to do that, we need to, I would open another tab, display the same admin page that you had before,
Okay,
so that you
okay.
can then click on the site editor and go to template parts,
Okay, so this is the home page.
right? We don't want the home page.
Oh, I don't want the home page?
You want to go to the site editor and choose template parts.
Okay, so so how do I do that?
Okay, it's not a page we're looking for per se.
Okay.
Where's the site editor in this version? Appearance, that's where it should be. So appearance, click appearance.
Editor?
And
Okay.
editor, yep.
Okay.
And then at the bottom of that list should be template parts.
Here?
So click templates.
Okay.
And where are our parts? Okay, footer only,
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Okay, so keep that left sidebar.
Okay.
That should always remain open, because that's how you keep track of where you are when you work.
Okay.
Without that left sidebar,
How do I get it back?
Just, it's always the three little lines at the top left.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay. So we're in the, actually, is this the, are we still in the, no, are we in the template part view?
I'm in the editor. Yeah, I'm in the editor.
Right, but I'm sorry, we just jumped to this place.
Yeah.
From the previous place. Could you back up one step and see how we got here? Okay, so
That's the that's a separate page.
okay, but we want to go to a new tab, start a new tab.
Yeah.
In order for us to view the site editor, so that the old home page remains available in the tab.
Okay, so
And
that's
now
the
just going to go to this next tab.
okay, so this is where we had the home page where we duplicated. And then this is a new tab here where that's the footer that I want to
Okay,
have.
back up one step so that we see the template parts list again. I just want to confirm that we've got the,
Okay, so
no, just you back up one step, meaning the browser back up one step.
oh, here, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go footer only. Actually, right, so now click on footer again. We're on the left. Yep. Okay. So guys, this is what the template footer looks like that the homepage is using. Or is this a custom footer? Let me just
This
see.
is what came with the template, and then I added that pink one.
Right, but you know something? It would have been better to have created a new template, a new footer template part,
Got it. Yeah.
modified that,
Yeah.
and then what you want to do is replace one template part with another,
Okay.
because that's the only way that it'll appear
On every
on
page.
the template page as a whole.
That would be
right?
amazing. Yeah.
Whether it's the homepage or the post template or the page template, if you use the footer template part that you've created in those places, well, then they'll all be the same and they'll all be controlled in the one place. And I think, and now going to the header part, whatever you find that you like in the footer template, wherever it is, on whatever template, as long as you correctly identify the block which holds the blocks that you want, meaning
Right.
you don't just check the individual blocks and copy them as ungrouped. They have to have a container around them. Normally that's the group block, right? You duplicate the block. If you're on the homepage, you could duplicate the block and drag it up to the top and replace the header part with that.
Okay.
Or simply copy the same settings that you've got, the interior, right? And copy that to replace the interior blocks of the header.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Uh,
What you got
What?
is a component, a part, template part
Yeah.
that's working.
yeah.
And you want to move that somewhere else by copying.
Yeah. So do I just copy this like this and then just paste it in the
Well,
header?
how do you know what you're in? How do you tell that you've got the right thing to copy? You've gotten the
Yeah.
answer 3 times now. So how do you figure out that? You go to the list, the sidebar list as the place to confirm that you're selecting the right thing for whatever you want to do with the thing. So go back, right.
Okay.
Now, this is not the list menu, right? This is the template part menu. So you're not in the edit mode in the first place, right?
Okay.
Well, I mean, you're bringing up or selecting things when you've got that design on the left, right? That's for selecting something. And then your cursor goes over to the right when something's been selected and you go to work on that, and that causes the editor to appear and let you work on it.
I see. Okay.
So if you got to click templates from the design list, but and then footer only, it doesn't look quite like I expect it to look. That's why I'm hesitating. But and unfortunately, we're running out of time to assist you.
I know,
Um,
I didn't mean to take, I
No,
didn't.
no,
this
this
far.
is working our way through and
Yeah.
other people will find this helpful. But there's several ways to go about this. The one is the one that we started off with where we made the copy of the header, right? And then you can make changes to the current version. And if they don't work, you can delete that and get the duplicate you made and return to the starting point, right? And so with that new header block at the top, let's just scroll. I'm just reviewing with you the alternatives you have.
So should I copy this then, this one that I want from the bottom?
Right, but we're not going to do it now because we're not going to have the time. But as long as you see the blue border around the footer,
Yep.
that's delineating the container block,
Okay.
right? And remember that that's the critical thing. You've always got to make sure you're in the right block to do something, because it can become confusing and select the wrong thing and make the wrong change and then wonder what's happened. So that's why I emphasize it.
Got it.
Okay, so you can copy this and then paste it,
Okay.
or don't do it now,
Okay.
or you can simply duplicate it and then drag it to someplace else on the same page.
Oh.
Right? So,
Okay.
so that's just your alternative way to do something.
Okay.
The second way, the alternative is to create a new template part, or sorry, a new header part or a new template part to copy the current template part into, so that it stands alone, readily identifiable as the one that you've modified. Then use that template part in the page templates. Page meaning the homepage template, the post template, the archive template, whatever it is you want to do. If they use the template part you've created, one we're looking at, then they'll all work for you in that same consistent fashion.
Okay.
Now, to me, if that footer looks fine to you
It's perfect.
as your header,
Yeah.
then I would simply put the Google Ads in a block, in a group block above that, where that's the only thing that occupies that particular space, or whatever they use to insert the Google ad, whatever block is used for that, put that block all by itself in a group going from side to side on your page, and that way it doesn't interact with the header.
Okay. So I would group the ad with this, with my header. And can I, when I paste this to be my new header, do I delete the old one?
Well, I would check, because the header template part for your homepage should exist, or does exist, as a standalone template part from that list that we were just at in the design menu, right? So any template part used in any template that comes with a theme or is supplied by WordPress exists as a standalone version, right? And therefore, you can create a new one, or you can take one template part or one footer template part that you prefer over another one and replace, the first with the second. In other words, find a new template, another new footer you like from the patterns library. Use that, and then that can become your template part for footers through that route too. So in other words, you can customize what you've got, you can create a new one from scratch, you can find a pattern you like for footers and simply copy that into your template part. But the key is template parts, header and footer, you modify them as those individual units, even though you can see them when you're editing a page like the home page.
Got it. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank
Now,
you.
you might have trouble just keeping track of all these details, but go to the replay.
No, that's terrific. Yeah.
Hopefully that'll, and maybe the transcript will help too.
That's great. Thank you.
The grain transcript tends to be, at least it has been, better than the Zoom one, but Zoom's fighting back and now has its own AI-driven
I saw that.
thing. So I'll see if I can find a link to that and provide that as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Okay, and if you found this helpful, then drop a sentence or two as a comment on the session page on Meetup, and just say, you know, tried this out for the first time, was a little nervous. We took a half an hour. We didn't actually solve the problem, but we got a lot closer.
Well, it didn't even occur to me that I could use the footer I made at the bottom as my header, because I don't know whoever said that, but I'm like, yeah, that's perfect. Like I
think it was, I don't know who contributed that thought, but that's sort of the notion of people just pitch in to help
yeah,
if they think they can offer something about somebody's situation.
Yeah.
But the key point that I was making, one of the key points that I was making is just to remember that everything is a block. And that means blocks exist within blocks, within blocks, within blocks. And so it's always important to clearly identify which block you're in, but also that you can copy and paste or duplicate a block or a group block or whatever from one place to another with just the simplest thing you can imagine. I mean, that's designed to be that easy. All right. Okay, let me just have a quick look at the chat.
Rosie, can we get you to stop sharing your screen?
yeah. Thank you.
Now there's some comments in chat that you might, Rosie, have a look at.
Hang
And there
on.
was some suggestion about centering the logo, etc.
How do I stop sharing? Sorry, I just got to figure this out. Screen share, stop share. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh my goodness, look at all these comments. Okay.
So have a look at those and come back if there's a point that you think is worth mentioning to others or asking a question about.
Thank you.
Anybody have a concluding or additional thought before we move on? Mike, Bruce, Drew? Silence. Okay, guys, who would like to be next?
If I could, this is Doug. I've been working on a WooCommerce site for a little while. I can work on it fine. It's in the admin, but I can't access it as a site. It just sort of spins around and doesn't open up. Is that? I talked to my I had emailed my supplier, etc., whatever, and they weren't very helpful. And basically, I'm trying to find out whether this is a WordPress problem or whether it's my can't think of the right name.
The host?
The host, yeah, kind of whether it's that. But it basically, if I try and access the site, it just the arrows just spin around and nothing happens.
Oh, can you post the address in the chat so we can all see it spin?
It's oldwhitby. That's oldwhitby.ca.
Okay.
Right, could you just put that in chat? I missed it.
Where is the chat? I'm trying to look. Where is it?
In the middle where it says the share screen green button,
Yeah,
right to the left of that, it says chat.
not on my screen.
Okay, make your window wider.
Make my window wider. How do I do that? Do that? No, that doesn't do it. How do I do it?
Or I think if you go to the three dot menu on the far right, whatever isn't appearing
Right. Okay, there I can do that.
because of the lack of space should then appear in the more menu.
Chat. There we are. Okay. All right. Chat. So I go to chat. Okay. Yeah. All right. There we go. So type message here. Okay. oldwhitby.ca. oldwhitby.ca.
The way the chat works is that when you have a URL in there, a person can simply click on that URL and it'll open whatever browser is foremost, whatever tab is foremost in the browser,
Okay.
and just display it. You don't have to copy it and then paste it into the window or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still churning away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yet I can get into it as an admin and do all kinds of things and no problems.
Well, you know, normally churning is some loop has occurred in which something can't be done, and the application continues to try to accomplish that step and is unable to, and just endlessly goes in a circle. Continues to try. Okay, I still don't see your URL there.
You want the I'm not sure what you want.
The URL to the site.
Oldwhitby.ca? Or you wanted HTTP or?
No, just the domain name itself.
Oldwhitby.ca.
Yeah, I'm getting out the high-tech diagnostic tools. I'm going to look at the very bottom of my screen, so small that I can't see it. There is something it says it's waiting for something, and it's waiting for something called for a site that says dt.adsafeprotected.com. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, developer tools should also be able to tell us what
Yeah.
is holding up the sequence of steps.
Does that name ring a bell with you, Doug?
Nope.
Okay. Do you have advertising on your site?
No, it's not like I've just really started on it a few weeks ago, and so yeah, no, it's just hopefully nobody's going there.
Okay. Generally these things are one of either a plugin problem or a theme problem.
Okay.
Do you know what?
I just inject something just for half a minute and then return it to you. Let's see. You want to display the developer tools for that page, and all I want to do is just have him open those, Drew, so that he knows how to get to them, so that later he could make use of that if he wants to.
So do you want me to open it up as the admin, or?
Yes, all you do on the page in question is, let me just find which menu that's on. On Chrome, it's the view menu at the very bottom. It says developer, and it's the second item there called developer tools.
Okay, I'm using Firefox. I don't know if that helps you.
Okay, somewhere there'll be something developer tools, inspect, for example, or you could just right click on a page. And actually, right clicking gives you nothing on your page.
Okay, well let me get into the admin, and that should get me in.
So, sorry to sidetrack through where you were going, but I just thought it would be helpful to people to know that there's this developer tool thing that allows you to inspect what's going on a page when the page itself can't tell you.
Okay, I'll sign here.
So Firefox div tools.
Log in.
Okay, it says, how do I access developer tools in Firefox? Select tools, web developer tools. So go to the tools menu.
Right.
Go to web developer on that tools menu.
My under settings, maybe.
Well, according to Firefox, it just says you can open developer tools from the menu by selecting tools.
Yeah, I did that.
Item web developer, submenu web developer tools. I'll give you the link.
I got browser tools. Is that it? Oh, there, web developer. Okay, there we are. Web developer tools. Okay, that's what I want. Okay. All right. Aha, and we got a bottom screen. Right. Okay. Okay. We've got
and as I say, the reason I'm pointing this out is simply because there's all kinds of useful information there, including the sequence of steps that the application is taking right now trying to display the page, and therefore exactly where it stopped and what it's been calling when it stopped.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Right.
Now, that to me, most times doesn't advance my cause, particularly because it's probably some JavaScript that isn't arriving or going to the right place. But you just need to know that there is this tool, which is the omni-purpose tool, to look into what a page or a site is doing,
Okay.
and then work from there. There are other diagnostic tools, of course. Anyway, back to Drew, and just put this sort of aside for the moment,
Okay.
and follow Drew.
Yeah, okay. So there's a fairly standard diagnostic path for things like this. They generally in WordPress call this the white screen of death.
Right.
Basically, just nothing it displays on your site.
Right.
Actually, are you getting a white page, Drew, or?
Yeah, I'm getting a white page.
Okay, I'm getting a black page, but I guess I'm just different today.
Okay. Maybe you're in dark mode.
Yeah. No, it's just, anyway, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, so these are often, they can be a plugin conflict, a problem with your theme, or a problem with a file called htaccess,
Okay.
which controls all access to your site. So the process for troubleshooting it is a bit tedious. It's pretty much going in first to all of your plugins
Right.
and deactivating all of your plugins and seeing if that fixes the problem. Because if that fixes the problem, then you've got some sort of plugin conflict. You might have a bad plugin.
So
Okay.
if I might just suggest, sort of make a note as a heading that checking the problem out as a potential plugin conflict is sort of one category of a way of debugging this, right? So, sorry, back to Drew, but there's, so the other ways think of as being under different headings as we come up with them.
Okay. All right. So basically, I go to inactivate the plugins and work my way through them and find out which one's causing the problem. Right. I thought I was using pretty standard stuff, but
Have you ever done this search for a problem plugin? Are you familiar at all with sort of?
I worked on this site some time ago, and then
No. The reason I mention that is because when I first did it, I sort of worked out that okay, so start off, turn off half of all the plugins. Does the problem still continue? Then turn off another half of what remains. Is there still a problem? And by working in that way, turning on and off blocks, you're trying to isolate the problem without checking each individual block one by one, which would be 10 times the work.
Sure.
So I'm just saying by grouping blocks, and if 5 or 10 or 15 blocks, when deactivated, don't change anything, well, then those presumably aren't causing the conflict.
Right.
Go to the next group of plugins arbitrarily chosen. I mean, I just do them alphabetically, right?
Right.
I'd go from A to M, A to L, turn all those off.
Right.
See what happens.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so Drew, if this isn't, let's say none of the blocks, there's no change by turning off all the blocks. I mean, I guess that's the first thing. If you turn off everything but WooCommerce specific plugins, is that the first step, Drew?
Yeah, in fact, I would go and turn off all the plugins.
Okay, you don't need a WordPress plugin to do what he's talking about?
Well, not to, you don't need a WordPress plugin just to see if the
Oh, no,
site's
you're
active.
saying, let's just make sure that the problem is where WooCommerce, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the first step then, is turn off all plugins, make sure the site is functioning properly.
Okay.
And that there's not some problem unrelated to WooCommerce.
Yeah, because if you turn off all the plugins and the site still doesn't display, that means your problem is something else. It's not a plugin problem.
Yeah, it's helpful.
Now, there is, under a new category of techniques, the debug mode that you can turn on for WordPress, which, like the developer tools that I mentioned before, this one is an internal capability which all WordPress sites have, which causes WordPress to spit out a big chunk of sort of diagnostic data on what's crashing or not working in the application. And because that's a bit of a burden on the server doing this, debug reporting, it's something which is not on by default, but you have to turn on, right?
Right.
So I would just make a note under this second category, find out how to turn on WordPress debug mode.
Okay.
And there'll be a plugin, for example. I'm sure there'll be a dozen plugins. You just click a button and debug mode's on, or you can actually handle the code directly, blah, blah, blah.
All right.
Okay. Drew, back to you.
Well, there is actually something else I've thought of that might be worth looking at. And that is the since you can actually get into your dashboard, might be worth looking at the site health report. Just
Where would I find
That's
that?
so obvious, isn't it? In
Yeah.
retrospect, like perhaps that should be a good starting point for almost any
Where would I
problem of
find
this
that?
kind.
Let me see. I'm just logging into a site now, and on my sites I've got two-factor
It's got another
authentication.
tool, site
Yeah,
health,
okay,
right?
yeah, site health. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And there's two components to that. One is sort of information on the state of the site and components and such. Another is recommendations or things that have been identified as issues or problems of varying severity. So, Drew, do you want him to display his health page?
Sure. Why don't you
Would
do
you
that?
share my screen?
Share
Yeah.
your screen with that health
Let's see if I
health
get back to
page
here.
displayed.
Gotta get back to here. Let's see what we got here. Here we are. I'm gonna try that, and I'll cite the share screen. Okay. Okay, and you want that one? Is that what I want? This one. This is what I want. Site health. There we go. Right. Okay. And share.
Jesse says, Drew,
There we
there
go.
is a JavaScript redirect happening somewhere. You can see this using the SEO Minion Chrome extension. It's looping, which I think is what I started out saying, but that's an excellent point. Perhaps, Drew, you could address that next, depending on where we get with this one.
Yeah.
So you can see my screen there, Harvey, can you?
Yeah. Plugins waiting to be updated. Themes need to be updated. Scheduled event is late. Yeah, the things they identify as critical issues aren't stopping you from
No.
using the site. Yeah. Okay, so Robin, you were saying that there was a JavaScript issue, a JavaScript loop.
Yes, if you look in the chat window, Jesse, about 4 or 5 messages from the end, makes reference to a JavaScript redirect happening somewhere, and he makes reference to this extension. And I have just put into chat the Google search, which will take you to the extension as well as the site where the developer of the extension happens to be.
It's
I can
interesting
stop sharing
because
that.
whenever somebody is sharing their screen, I'm locked out of chat. Does that doesn't happen to you, Robin?
No,
Oh.
this is kind of, maybe the gods are sort of like taking a holiday or something, and they haven't turned on the IT technology for planet Earth, because we seem to be having all kinds of little problems.
Yeah. Yeah, but this has been happening since day one with Zoom, because the shared screen basically just takes over the whole Zoom window, including the chat.
Well, what's happened though, just in the last 2 or 3, within the last 3 updates to Zoom, they changed it so that when now you click share screen, the default is for the window to be full screen, which I find painful in the extreme because of the size of my screen. It used to be, it would just be whatever the size of the window was before that change occurred. So if you have to have your window size X and I'm seeing you and then you share your screen, that window will be untouched in size and position. And this change to full screen is presumably a benefit for people who don't know how to go to full screen or something like that, because it's a complete pain to the rest of us. But in any event,
can you cancel a full screen and resize?
Well, you go to the top left corner.
Oh, okay.
And there's the button which will take any window and make it full screen. And then when you click it, it'll then go back to the position it was in before. So it'll return you to whatever the size and position was before the share.
Yeah, all right. So,
but in my case, for example, on a Mac, the full screen thing hides the menu bar for the window naturally. So you simply go to the top left corner, run your cursor into the space, and then the menu appears. And the 3 buttons in question are then available.
Anyway, so back to Doug's issue.
Okay, yeah, and so back, and back to this JavaScript thing and the full screen, blah blah blah.
Even if we know that's what it is, we still don't know what's generating that. It is if that's the issue, it's looking less like an htaccess issue, because htaccess wouldn't do something like that. htaccess has no way of running JavaScript. So it's, again, we're probably back to plugins or the theme. So the next step would be to deactivate all of the plugins and see if that brings the site to life.
Yeah, and I guess related to that is to replace the current theme with something like 2024 and see if the site then functions with a new theme.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that until after you check
but I mean,
plugins,
if the next step doesn't work, then the equivalent one after that, to turning off all the plugins, would be to check to see if it will display another theme successfully.
I'm using the Astra theme, which basically is supposed to be the
it's pretty good.
Well, certainly the most widely used.
Right.
However, the problem with themes, especially ones that have super complexity like Astra internally, I mean, to have millions of copies out there means you're providing features across the entire spectrum of features, right? It can be a problem which only occurs in 3 people on planet Earth, just because of the unique circumstances of everything. So that's not to be dismissed, but you're right, though, in general, Astra should be quite reliable and would normally not be the first place you'd look if an issue arose, because it's just so widely used, right? And so popular.
I did notice that themes, that the site health report said that themes and plugins were due to be updated. So there could be a bug in one of your plugins, for example, that has been fixed in an update, which you just don't have yet.
Okay. I'll try that too, yeah. Okay.
Any other things that we can offer to?
Well, this doesn't look likely in this case, but in the general cases of the white screen of death, if turning off all the themes and changing the turning off all the plugins and changing the theme to one of the standard WordPress distribution themes like 2024 still doesn't fix it, then the next step would be to replace the htaccess file with the default htaccess file, using the text editor in your in your web host.
Right.
I don't think that'll apply in this case, though.
Okay.
Actually, Drew, wouldn't you think that if turning off plugins and being unable to run 2024 occurred, then perhaps communicating with the host to say something weird is happening because when I turned off everything I can, WordPress still doesn't run. What do you suggest?
Yeah, you could do that, and I would
I
probably
mean,
do
that's
that.
it's a severe enough problem, and you've done as much as a person can do to sort of radically address the problem. So they should be willing to put a little effort into looking at your site and just then telling you, oh, sorry, we flipped a switch and didn't tell anybody. Here, we fixed it now.
Yeah.
That does happen.
Yeah, they're probably going to tell you to either replace the htaccess file or reinstall WordPress.
Okay.
Just a thought, Robin. My last several problems have not been of my own causing. They've been courtesy of GoDaddy and renewals and passwords and security glitches. And of course, they never happen in isolation. They always happen when I become aware of them when I go into an admin screen and something doesn't work. So it's probably worthwhile doing a full system check to make sure that there's nothing stupid external to code that's causing this. The other thing I noticed was if you actually try to log in to the IP that the domain resolves to, it comes back and doesn't have a default page assigned to the IP, which I found rather curious.
I mean, it should at worst display the index page, right?
That's my thought.
That's yeah, for the last 10 years or so, though, web hosts have been using shared IPs for multiple sites.
Yes, exactly. Which means that there is a page or a lookup that takes all of the extended URLs and links them to something different than what you and I see on our screen. So the fact that the WP admin works does not mean we're looking at the same computer and the same host as the default web page, because somebody can program that any way you want. So I would, if after doing the obvious stuff, I would say to do the non-WordPress check a little earlier in the debugging process.
Well, that's certainly a list of things to work your way through.
Okay.
just so people don't think I'm being theoretical here. GoDaddy decided to give me professional security instead of enhanced security and took down my system.
Wow.
And it only took them about 18 hours to fix it.
Wow.
And
yes, and I think the point's well taken, that hosts vary in their willingness to sort of address problems and issues. I've heard enough cases of people who've gotten their host to take over a problem and solve it, and then sort of give them back a site that's sort of running smoothly. And other hosts, they seem to be the ones that I have dealt with in the past, who think that no, we're supplying sort of the electrical power and the application, and that's it. Figure it out yourself, or at least the answer they gave me translated into that when all was said and done. So hosting can vary both by the kind of plan. Do you have a basic one, or do you have a managed hosting subscription, as well as the individual host, which can depend a lot on just human factors.
Yeah, the less money you're paying for your hosting, the less service you can expect.
Yeah. For sure. And in some ways, it's sort of hard to compute because, you know, I've got a batch of sites that I think I got them on some sort of deal or whatever on Black Friday. I got five site slots, so to speak, for like $25 for the year, which works out to be about 75 cents a month per site, which is great because they're just throwaway sites that I use for very specific purposes. On the other hand, for clients who are novices, and who have low volume, Flywheel has a very reasonable price per month, $15 US, and really does provide excellent service and a much simplified UI for most people. So just an example, like WP Engine, for example, is probably twice as much, but then will be twice as aggressive in trying to solve problems that they have. And the same for Kinsta, which is an even more expensive managed service host, but takes a more proactive role in securing your site and improving the site's performance and so on. So it's a tough call for most of us to say, what's it worth if I go the first year with no problems and therefore $3, $4, $5 a month is a bargain, or no, I had a problem and it took me 20 hours to resolve it, and my time's probably worth more than $1 an hour. So maybe paying more for hosting will mean I spend less time fixing things or failing to fix things. That's my homily for the day.
Mhm.
Okay, Doug, can we
Yep.
send you off into the blue to
We'll try all that and we'll
report back?
right. Yep.
It would be interesting if you could tell us sort of, oh, I got through the first 2 steps. They were relatively easy. The third one worked, but that was the hardest or whatever. It'd just be,
Right.
you know, interesting to hear how you fared.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, who would like to be next? Next victim. Any volunteers?
Yeah, I can go. Can you hear me?
Yes. Is your video displayed?
Oh, no, sorry. Let me
Well, just that
share
it's nice
my
to sort of
video.
see who
Yeah,
we're
it's
talking
okay.
to. Hey,
Hello,
how you
guys.
doing?
My name is Jose. Nice to meet you guys. So my question is not like related to some issue that I'm running into right now, because I'm just starting with WordPress, but I do know how to like some web development skills. And the thing is that I need to update a website on WordPress, but I'm not familiar with the whole tool, you know? So as I was like watching some videos, I know that we need like to have the backup, and I know how to install plugins and the themes, all like general topics of WordPress. But I want to ask you, since I need to like update an existing website,
Now, wait a sec. When you say
what
update,
tips would you?
when you say update, what exactly are you referring? What are you specifically thinking about updating? Is it a plugin,
They
a
want
theme,
to.
the content,
Yeah, no,
the
it's
layout?
just gonna be like it's gonna be a change on the content and the styling of the website. So most
Okay.
likely I'm gonna change theme and apply some extra CSS styling
So
and
it's a kind of a
HTML
redesign.
codes. Yeah, redesign.
It's a
Exactly.
redesign. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So my question or I want to know like what would be the tips that I need to know in case that I break the current website. So I don't want to like mess it up. So I already know that I need to have the backup. I already have that one, but more than that, what could I do in case that something happened?
Are you familiar with what's called staging as a technique for development? Creating a staging site?
No, you mean
Okay, a
with
staging
GitHub?
site is a clone of an existing site,
Mhm.
which can be on your host, a facility which your host often provides, you know, a staging facility. Click this button and we'll create a copy of your site that you can then work on, which is separate entirely, and whatever you might do to that site doesn't affect the production site, the real site. And if the host doesn't offer it, then there are a variety of suppliers, one of which is a sponsor of this meetup group called Insta WP. And for a free account, it'll let you create a copy of your current site running exactly as if it were the real site. But no matter what you do to it, it can't cause a problem with the original site. So you can check things, you can try things out, you can experiment, you can redesign cowboy style just by doing it right on the fly. Because if it breaks or blows up, just get another copy of the site and go back to work on it. Okay, so that's one way to do it. Then you take the result in the staging site, and by several techniques, you can make that the real site. So in other words, you can redesign the site in a separate copy and then replace the current site with the redesigned site when you know it's working and you're satisfied with it. So that also isolates the issues when you want to talk to a client, because they can actually see what you're talking about as if you'd implemented some part rather than just talking about it. There are other ways to protect yourself, but like backups and so on, but those don't involve working on a separate copy. Now, you can have your staging site on your own machine if you use an app called Local. It's just the way it sounds. Local is the name of the app, and it's a free app which lets you, in effect, create staging sites on your own machine, and therefore, just have the benefit of controlling everything, no problem at all. Now, there are other competitors to Local, which you can find and look at, but I just mentioned that one because that's the one I use, and it seems to be, to me, the most popular by a significant amount. Now, do you know what's the theme the site currently has? Theme?
Let me see. I think it's called Night.
Night. I mean, is it from a well-known developer or from just some developer somewhere at some point in time did it?
I'm not really sure. I can.
Well, it's really just
like
how much confidence can you have in the skill of the theme developer at this stage? We want to just make some decision about, is this a reliable theme? Is this a well-supported theme? Are there is there a site that I can go to with documentation on this thing, just to simply know what you got to work with? I mean, you should learn a bit about that, but ideally you'd want to find out if you can work with a block theme, if there's a block theme out there that will work for you. Cadence, for example, or Generate Press, or Astra has a block theme now that is on the market. Using a block theme gives you a variety of advantages in WordPress terms, because that's the future of WordPress. However, the vast majority of sites out there now continue to use classic themes. And of course, they vary in quality, but some of the very best themes out there are classic themes, because like Astra, for example, which came up earlier, it has several million users and it's been around for a long time. So to a certain extent, you've got a fork in the road as to what kind of theme you go to, because do you know how long has the theme been used? Is it like a handful of years?
Like a couple of years since.
Because the older the theme is, the more likely you want to just ditch it and get a new theme, right?
Yeah, that's what we want to do, like pick a different theme and start from scratch and give a different, like a fresh new stuff.
Yeah, fresh look and feel to it. And also, just as things always are, as time progresses, technology is developed further and further and further, and there are things you can do now really easily that 2 or 3 years ago would have been relatively hard. And things, improvements occur in the underlying WordPress application that affect the ease with which you can do things, and the value of those things, the way they work. So that's something to bear in mind as well. Anybody wish to contribute something to this particular issue of how to go about taking over and redeveloping a site when you're at the early stages of learning about WordPress as an application?
Well, if the site is being taken over from a professional developer, you'll want to make sure that you have all of the passwords for your domain registrar, and you want to make sure that the domain is actually registered in your company's name. I've seen cases where the developer has registered the domain in the developer's name. So you want to check that. You'll want to be sure that you have
Sorry, Drew, I think the same applies to the hosting account, right?
Yeah, I was just about
You
to
wanna
say
make
that
sure the
also the
account is
hosting
in the
hosting
client's name.
account, yeah, and that you have access to the hosting account. And of course, also the WordPress dashboard.
Yeah.
And that you
Yeah,
have
I do have those.
right? You've got all of those. Okay, that's
Yep.
that's the basics. Yeah.
In terms of the backup plugins that offers in WordPress, what would be your recommendation? Is there any in specific or any of those?
Well, there's one called
good
Updraft
enough.
that's quite popular. Drew, what's your preferred pick?
I've used Updraft. I've used the dedicated backup from my host. I've used I've used Backup Buddy. I've used the WPMU Dev backup. I think my favorite is probably Updraft.
So, and one of the key questions is usually the plugin developer will make certain features only available in the paid version, and typically those things are some of the cloud services. It's very useful to be able to back up your site directly to a cloud service like Google Drive or OneDrive or iCloud or whatever. But usually in the backup plugins, only a few of those or less, maybe a couple will be available, but maybe Dropbox won't be or Drive won't be. And therefore, that's to get you to buy the sort of the upgraded version and pay them money. Do also bear in mind that there is an export function in the WordPress application, which will enable you to export or a copy of the entire site, which you could then, in a blank or new site, simply import the site that you exported and, in effect, then duplicate the original site. So that comes with WordPress, is built right in. And what was the other one I was going to mention? It's just slipped my mind. What was the related one? Okay, so how about Mike? Have you got any other thoughts to contribute here?
I had two thoughts as we were talking. I'd mentioned the GoDaddy security options. One of the differences between the two levels was that one of them automatically did an upload to an offsite server, and the lower priced one you had to manually download the same files to your own device or location. So if it's crucial to you that you have a very up to the minute backup of your site, then the security package you're buying from your service provider really comes into effect there, and you may already be paying for it. So you should probably investigate what your options are from your hosting. The other thing I was thinking was you've got content and you got a presentation layer, and when you were saying update, you were not clear whether you were updating the presentation or whether you were actually updating the stuff behind it, the catalog, the services that are offered on the site. And that really makes an enormous difference to how you're going to do the upgrade. Because if you're only updating the presentation level, is pretty safe because you can test things and you don't really care if the commerce works because you just want to see what it looks like. But if you're updating the presentation layer and the content, I would never want to do them both at the same time.
All
Now,
right.
you're referring to dynamic content, Mike, aren't you? I mean, static post content.
Well,
Yeah, it's gonna be static.
I'm saying if you're adding payroll and you don't have payroll.
Right,
I
or
wouldn't-
appointment booking, or
yeah, I wouldn't want,
a WooCommerce store, or what have
yeah,
you.
I wouldn't want to do that at the same time I was managing a presentation change with new themes and new
Right.
new graphics and new.
So what you're saying is that if you're going to start something which is in and of itself a complex exercise,
Yes,
don't do that while doing the redesign on the fly,
yes,
because that just introduces potential interactions that you might not be aware of or can cope with. So it's better to sort of put off those things that have dynamic aspects to them, other than just the query loop in a post, so that you can take care of them that way. The other thought in terms of the backing up to a cloud storage service is that if you want to do daily backups, for example, then it really makes it worthwhile having those backups go to the cloud service that you prefer as just part of an automatic background process that you don't have to think about once you set it up. I would think that would be a really good idea from a safety point of view. Because when something involves some manual steps, there might be days when you just don't have time, or you forget about it or whatever. And that of course is the day that you really need it. So that's something to bear in mind.
All right. Thank you for your
Okay.
thoughts, guys.
If we've been helpful, putting a comment in the Meetup page, just to say, I came to try this thing out, see if these guys could be of help. I'm just starting out or whatever. And they gave me some good tips on, what my initial steps or things to watch out for or whatever. Then that will encourage other people, to come to our little site clinic and get help as well. Okay, it's just 8 o'clock now. Do we have another person?
Thank you. It's nice to meet you.
Great. Okay, so Mike, you got to leave. Ciao. See you next time. Same for Catherine. She had to go. I think that's about it. So who's left?
Night, everyone.
Night, Mike. Oh, by the way, Mike, before you go, did you figure out what was the problem in trying to see the grain recording for last month from the link on the event page?
All I got was the message that the permissions were set so that casual users couldn't access it. It was sort of an admin level access.
Oh, right. I didn't think to check that part. I'll have a look.
Okay.
Now it was the green one, not
Yes.
the YouTube one.
Yeah, the YouTube was fine, so it was moot at that point. I had the information I needed.
Okay, I misunderstood what you were saying because I thought it was just simply the link didn't work, as opposed to the link worked, but I didn't have permission, or it thought I didn't have permission.
Yeah, precisely. Okay,
Yeah,
gotta
that's the
run.
first time I run into that. Anybody else try to look at the grain recording for last month and have this problem? Okay, but I'll look into it. Thanks, Mike, for the tip. I'll do a better job of following through next time in that regard. Okay, we have just a handful of people left. Jesse or Shabnam or Quasi, can we help? No, nobody feeling adventurous? Okay, well, I guess we'll wrap up at 8.
Okay. Good night, everybody. See you guys next time.
Okay.
Okay, guys, take care. We'll see you next month. Be good.